In the current ADA meeting, we're presenting some very exciting posters and oral presentations. We have a total of 18 talks, so it's quite a lot to go through, but there's a couple of highlights that really stand out. One of them is a phase 2 study we did with canagliflozin and phentermine, and this is in non-diabetic patients looking at the weight loss properties of the combination of these two medicines. What's very interesting about this is, of course, there's a huge worldwide epidemic of obesity that's driving the epidemic of diabetes. It's also driving a number of other disease states such as osteoarthritis, cancer, and of course heart disease. The problem is we don't have any great therapeutics to help address the obesity epidemic. We have bariatric surgery, which is very effective, but isn't meant for everybody. The idea behind putting canagliflozin and phentermine together in a combination study was a test of a hypothesis. These are two medications that work in different ways to affect body weight. One of them is approved for weight control indication. The other is not. Canagliflozin does not have that indication, but it's been very well studied. But what we've realized is that for the amount of glucose patients lose in their urine when they take Invokana, they don't lose an equivalent amount of weight. So there must be a compensation. So the hypothesis was that if you combine the two medications together, you'll block that compensation and you'll get better weight loss. Now, what we've seen historically in metabolism is when we're looking for additive effects or even synergistic effects, we're usually disappointed. Usually 1 + 1 = 1.5. And here's a case where what's very exciting about this is not only did the hypothesis bear true in the phase 2 study, but 1 + 1 = more than 2. And that again opens a great doorway of promise. We understand that weight control by the human body is very complex, and it's almost undoubtedly going to require more than one medication to really bring weight down in a clinically meaningful way. And this is an example where we found two medications that work very well together. So the idea here is if you have a drug, canagliflozin, that causes you to lose calories in your urine in the form of glucose, what would happen if you blunted your appetite? We know that the appetite increases to partially compensate for that loss of calories. So if you take a drug like phentermine, which is an approved drug that's widely used for weight loss, and combine that with canagliflozin, would that lead to enhanced weight loss? And the results are very exciting from this study. It's enhanced weight loss indeed. In fact, numerically, it's more than additive weight loss. So we've seen patients given the combination, and again, this is a phase 2 study, so this is not approved indication, but we've seen patients in the combination lose on average 7.5% of body weight from their baseline in 26 weeks, and the weight is still going down at the end of the study. This is very exciting to us. This makes us certainly look at all of the possibilities, including the possibility of running a phase 3 program with this indication, with this combination, seeking potentially an indication. On the combination of Invokana and phentermine, when we think about this, we always think about safety and efficacy together in a risk-benefit equation, and safety of patients is always paramount in our interest. With canagliflozin, this is a very well-studied medication. We continue to study it in large outcomes trials. Phentermine is also a very well-studied medication. Both of these medications have now been given to over 1 million patients. So there's a large track record. What we've seen in the combination study is no new safety issues other than what's already understood from the safety profile of both medications. And this is very encouraging because the two medications are very well tolerated, especially when you compare them to some of the weight loss medications that have been on the market in the past. We, of course, again, do not have an indication and would need to do a phase 3 program to better fully characterize the safety of the combination before this would be used in clinical practice. think we have to continue to attack the problem of overweight and obesity. It's a worldwide problem. Every solution we can bring forward that makes meaningful differences for patients is going to make meaningful difference for public health. It's going to offer options to people who feel they have no options. It's very important. We just saw in JAMA the publication last week of an article showing that 40% of women in the United States and 35% of men are obese. Not overweight, obese. This has great health implications, and this is a worldwide epidemic. So everything we can do is important. Now, one of the strengths we have at Janssen is we're part of Johnson & Johnson. So we have a 3-sector company. We not only are working on pharmacologic agents for treating the overweight and obesity epidemic, but we're also the manufacturers of the majority of the world's bariatric surgery equipment. We have consumer solutions and understanding of patients from all angles. Patients as patients with diabetes and obesity, patients as surgical patients, and patients as consumers. And this gives us a great insight into multifaceted approaches to this epidemic because, as I said, I think every additional increment to solution you can provide, if you get 1% of the people with overweight and obesity helped, you've helped millions of people.